students, how are you all? I hope you all are doing really well. So students, today we are going to start chapter name The King's Elephant. So this is a story. Let's find out, read the summary first and find out what is there in the story. Summary. We live in an age of cell phones, emails and big malls. Our life is comfortable. Our life has become very easy through technology. But aren't we missing out on something important? Isn't it there something lack in our life? Read the story to find out. Okay, so it means that so nowadays our lives are very easy due to the technology. Okay, our lives are comfortable. We are using cell phones, emails, and we visit big malls where we can find each and everything. Now the writer wants to tell us that we are missing out something and lacking out something in our life. What is this? We will read the story and find out. Let's start. It was 10 o'clock at night. The king's elephant was still busy working in his office. There was so many important mail to send. Just then the telephone bell rang. So the king elephant was busy in his office at 10 o'clock at night, and there are a lot of emails he have to send to other people's, and then a telephone bell rang. Papa, we are waiting for you at dinner. It was his darling daughter at the other end. Tired and bored, the king elephant said, "Go ahead with your dinner, dear. I have just had coffee and some sandwiches, but I will be back home in a short while." So elephant's daughter called him and said that we are waiting for you at dinner. So the elephant is tired and bored and said that you can do your dinner. I have already taken some coffee and some sandwiches, and I will be at home in a short while. As soon as the king elephant reached home, he collapsed on the sofa. His daughter tried to tickle him, but curling her trunk around him, when can we go on a picnic, Papa? She asked sweetly. So when your father come back home from office, he also collapsed on sofa. Means when a person is very tired, he don't have any power to play with you or to say something to you. Just sit on sofa and take a rest. So the king's elephant was also collapsed on sofa, and his daughter is trying to tickle him and curling her trunk, but he is not responding on them. So the daughter asks her father that when we go on a picnic. So the king elephant looked up his diary and answered, "Next year in spring, my love. I promise to take everyone to the woods for a day." So the elephant kept a diary in which he write down his whole schedule. So he find out that he is not free for the year, and he will be free in spring season next year, and he promised that he will go to the wood for a day. Disappointed, the daughter went back to her room. So daughter was very disappointed because he want to go on a picnic very soon, but his father, according to his father's plan, there's no time for her for the next year. The king elephant gazed at the picture of his father, the old king. Suddenly he saw the frame move. To his great surprise, the old king stepped out of the frame and stood before him. "Greetings, father. I am so glad to see you," said the king elephant. "I heard a lot about your new place and thought I would pay a surprise visit," said the old king. The king elephant took his father around the palace. The old king was amazed to see so many different rooms, bedrooms, living rooms, dining rooms, drawing rooms, and so on. But when he tried to sleep, he couldn't. He just tossed and turned in the bed. The foam mattress was so soft, he could not get a wink of sleep on it. The next morning, the old king wanted to walk around and see the city. he was hustled into a big car and driven about. He looked with wonder at the tall building and busy roads. So, father was sitting on sofa, and her daughter was very disappointed because he told him that he is going to visit a wood in next spring. So the elephant was sitting on the sofa and gazing a picture of means he's watching or seeing a picture of his father, and suddenly he saw that the frame is moving and his father comes to visit him, and he was in a great surprise that his father is coming out from the old king was coming out from the frame. So he greets his father and say that I'm glad to see you here. The father heard that and said that I've heard about a lot about your new place, so that's why I've come to visit, come to pay a surprise visit to you, and I want to see your home and I want to see this palace and the city. So elephant took his father to around the palace, and the old king was amazed to see that so many rooms are there in the palace, and he was unable to sleep on those rooms. He was tossed and turned in the bed, and foam mattresses were so soft, but he could not get a wink of sleep. So the next morning, the old king wanted to see the city, so he went out of the door and was hustled into big cars and driven out from there. And after that, he saw tall buildings and busy roads. I can't see any forest, said the old king suddenly with concern. Where do our people get their food? So the old king was really amused by the scenery because there are a lot of cars, a lot of roads and a lot of big buildings, but there is no forest. He was very surprised that where we get our food from and where our kind of people are getting their food. We buy all our food at the supermarket and store it in a machine called refrigerator, said the attendant. The old king found it hard to believe. So the attendant tell the old king that we buy our food from the supermarket. At the dinner table, the old king wanted sweet and juicy sugar canes for dessert, but to his surprise, a bowl of sugar cubes was placed before him. This is how we eat our sugar cane in modern times. It is easier and quicker, the king elephant explained. So at the dinner table, the old king wanted some juicy sugar cane to eat, but he found out that a bowl of sugar cubes was placed before him, and he was so surprised seeing that this is very easy to eat. So the new king, the king elephant, said that it is in modern time it is very easy for us to get it quicker and it's easier for us. The old king felt upset at the change he saw. He walked up to the palace gate and looked up at the sky. The sight of the full moon cheered him. He let out a loud trumpet sound in delight. But the king elephant was alarmed. Father, you ought to be careful. We cannot make such a noise at this time of night, he said harshly. So the old king was feeling very upset after seeing this kind of changes. So he went out of the palace gate and looked up at the sky. So after watching the full moon, he was loudly trumpet in delight. So the king elephant alarmed his father that this is not a particular time to trump so loudly at that time of the night. So you have to be careful for that in very harsh way. So try this. Who look his father around the palace? Who took his father around the palace? An attendant. Okay. So the old king was silenced. He felt unhappy and wanted to leave the next morning. As he wished his son goodbye, his eyes were filled with tears. You may be more comfortable, my son, he said, but we were much happier. Then we went back into his frame forever. So the old king was silent and was very unhappy with all these things and want to leave next morning. So he wished his son goodbye, and his eyes were filled with tears. He said that you are definitely living a very comfortable life, but we are much happier than you. And then he went back to his frame forever. The king elephant understood there was no fun in his life. So at that time, the king elephant comes to realize that his whole year was busy in working and there is no space for fun, for family time. Now, the next day was declared a holiday for everyone. The next day, the king elephant declared a holiday for everyone, that everyone go on picnic and spend their time with their family and taking rest. Large herds swayed together toward the forest for a picnic. Means lot of elephant went for the picnic in the forest, and they taught their children to pluck leaves and fruit of the trees. They rolled in mud and later jumped into the cool river to wash themselves. They filled their trunk with water and splashed it around. Then, as a salute to the old king, they lifted their trunk and trumpet together as loud as they could. Okay, then next morning, when the king elephant declared a holiday, every elephant went to the forest. They teach their children to pluck leaves from the trees. They pluck fruits from the trees. They rolled up in the mud and then they jumped into the fresh river to clean up themselves. They filled their trunk with water and splash it all around, and this is how they enjoy their holiday. And then after that, at last they salute the old king, that they make their king realize that a holiday is very necessary. A day for the family and for picnics is very necessary in everyone's life. It means fun is really necessary to live a good and healthy life. So this is the end of the chapter. Hopefully you understand it very well. Now try this. Whose eyes were filled with tear? Old king elephant eyes were filled with tear. Okay, now the word bucket. Collapse, having fallen down or given away. Gaze, look steadily and intently. Amazed, greatly surprised. Hustled, pushed, forced, alarmed. Worried, anxious. Swayed, moved with a swaying motion. As elephant. Think and answer now. Take the correct option. Number 1, it was 10 o'clock at night. Okay, it was 10 o'clock at the night. The big option is the correct one. Now read the other sentences and find out the answer from the given option. B, fill in the blanks. 1, there was so many important emails to send. Okay, moving to next. C, who said this? Greetings, father, I am so glad to see you. The king elephant said this to his father, old king. Okay, so the question number D is, why was the king elephant working late at his office? Because the king elephant was still busy working in his office. There were so many important mails to send. Okay, so that's why he was working late in his office. Now read the rest of the part and find out the answer from the chapter. Values inside. Modern life is so busy that we have no time to eat or sleep in peace. We have no time to relax and enjoy with our loved ones. Do you think modern facilities can give us real happiness? Discuss in this classroom. So, in modern life, we are not so much engaged in outdoor activities. We used to stay at our home. We love to play with our phones, iPads, and we love to watch TVs more than all these things. In olden days or in olden times, kids, they don't have iPads, they don't have cell phones, they don't have television in their home. So they used to play outside. They go outside. They love nature. They play with nature as well. They love to see a bird is chirping on the trees, and the squirrels are finding their food and taking it back to their holes. So in olden times, people enjoy more nature than nowadays. That's why in my opinion, modern lives are really very busy, and we don't have time for other things. And this you have to discuss in your class with your friends also. Now the grammar strokes. Reading and writing skill. Simple past tense, positive and negative forms. As soon as the father reached home, he collapsed on sofa. The father had no time for his family. His daughter did not like that. the verb printed in color letter are in the simple past tense. Okay, so these sentences are written in a simple past tense, whether they are positive or negative. Now fill in the blanks with the simple past tense of the verb in the given bracket. The old king didn't enjoy his visit to the town. Okay, just like that, I have given you an example. Now read the rest of the part and fill it with the simple past tense. Now fill in the blanks with a and or the. The king elephant was a busy person. It was already 10 o'clock in the night. Okay, I have filled 3 for you. Now read the rest of the sentence and fill it with a and or the. C. Fill in the blanks with suitable verbs. Birds are flying high in the sky. Ram is reading in the class or studying in the class. Okay, now do the rest of the part at your own. Word power. Match these words with their meaning. Collapsed. Fell suddenly as it from tiredness. Amazed. Looked surprised. Amazed, surprised. Cheered. Made happy. Gazed. Looked at fixedly. And splash. Made water fall on the place around. Okay, now fill in the blanks with the given word. She splashed her face with the cold water. Okay, so you have to fill splash in it. Now read the rest of the sentence and fill these sentence words from the match the following: collapsed, amazed, cheered, gazed and splashed in this blanks. Now B. Find the antonyms of the following word from the chapter. You have to find the antonyms from the chapter. So new, old king, we have read about the old king, right? New, old. Come, went, want to go. In the last line we have heard, we have read that the old want to go away. So here we have write down go. So you have to find out the antonyms of these words from the chapter. Creative junction. Imagine yourself to be the king elephant daughter. Write a paragraph on what you did in the forest and how you felt. Okay, so you have to write down your imagination, like you are a daughter of king's elephant. You went to the forest and whatever you have done there, you have to write down in this space given here. Okay, now this is the end of the chapter. Hopefully you understand it very well. Now do the penning exercises at your own.